All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as part of our TISO Hospitality Fall Speaker Series. My name is Anthony Lai, Student Affairs Program Manager here at TISO. Our special guest presenter today is Deborah Thomas Nininger of DTM Productions International. Deborah has over 20 years of business etiquette, communication, and self-presentation expertise rooted in behavioral science and successful human interaction. Her company, DTM Productions International, organizes international etiquette training programs, including the '96 Olympic Games, and is also a frequent subject of interviews, often appearing in publications both nationally and internationally. We asked Deborah today to speak on the do's and don'ts of social media. She'll teach us how to form and cultivate a professional online presence while identifying and avoiding the no-nos of LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and any other social media network that you occasionally use. If you have any questions during today's webinar or experiencing any technical difficulties, please submit them through our chat feature or the Q&A feature, and we'll get them answered accordingly. So Deborah, I'm going to hand over the speaker and host to you. If you don't mind sharing us a little bit about yourself as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. And hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you, even from a distance. I actually am coming to you from where I live, Columbus, Ohio. And I must say that I really miss being in Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, until this year, I was in Vegas for the past several years, at least once or twice a month, working with different clients. So certainly staying on top of what's going on in your world, and certainly miss being with you in person. So thanks for coming to this webinar. It's the next best thing. And as you heard Anthony mention, I'm your host. So let's just go ahead and get this started. And I hope you have something on which you can take notes, because I am going to be providing you a number of takeaways that I'm going to suggest you come up with an action plan in regard to your social media brand that we're going to be talking about. Certainly, as you see up on the screen, I teach soft skills. I teach loads of different soft skills, and I have listed just a few of the ones that I teach. And today we are going to be focusing on a little bit of your reputation. So that's part of reputation management. And I want to focus a bit on how your reputation, if you think of it from the bigger picture, from the big picture of how you're putting yourself out there in the social media world. So a few of those programs will be highlighted throughout today's content. And as you also see up on your screens, you will see that, yes, what I said was true, that I am in your area a lot. I train for everyone from the Wynn, MGM Resorts, Caesars, LVCVA, certainly the Cosmopolitan, Bellagio, among others. So again, a big warm welcome to everyone. And I'd also like to highlight one of the programs you see listed that I teach, Luxury Unwrapped. I designed that years ago with the hospitality industry in mind. So I dearly love your industry. There are just so many things about it that I find, frankly, very warm and fuzzy when you think of the most gracious people who seem to know how to make other people really feel welcomed and really feel appreciated. There's just something about the word hospitality that resonates in every interaction. And that needs to be included in your social media presence. So I'm going to be emphasizing some things that you need to think about from the next step you're going to take after today's webinar is over, to really showcase the very best of who you are. Now, my objective for today is to help you feel better equipped to plan your social media presence, protect it, and not just protect it by what you publish, but also being a very good observer of how you might be tagged and included in the post of others, and also how to preserve your reputation in the social media world going forward, because you want one congruent message. What people read about you should well represent who you are when they meet you in person, right? Doesn't that make sense? In fact, people have often asked me, Deborah, how are you personally? Are you the same way that you are when you're teaching your soft skills workshops? And as I say, nothing soft about soft skills. People who possess the largest amount of soft skills are the strongest individuals. And you want that to come through in how you communicate in your social media world. So to answer that question, I have one message. What you see is what you get, socially, personally, professionally. So I don't have to worry about what I said here or there. Is it going to contradict my overarching message? Consistency is absolutely key. Now the chat is up. And I would love to have you be very engaged in today's webinar. And I'm going to suggest that you really use this chat. I'm going to be monitoring any of your questions and your comments that come in, but I now have a question for you. So please submit your answers in the chat. So right now, if people were talking about you behind your back, and you know they do, absolutely, that's just a given, how would you like to be described? What is one word that you would hope people would immediately, when your name is mentioned, it comes to mind? So please go ahead and in the chat, submit your word or two, however many you like. Go ahead and give us your thoughts. You may have to go over to the drop-down menu, or maybe Anthony can help us with that. Is the chat disabled? I'm hoping it's open to all of you.
Doesn't appear to be disabled, but it looks like if they can just put instead of the chat, uses the Q&A feature. The Q&A feature is working right now.
All right. Then feel free. If your chat isn't working, then please go ahead and put your thoughts in the Q&A. I'll monitor that as well. All right, so we have some answers coming in the Q&A. Someone who's very serious, someone who's very much in the factual perspective. So guess what that is? Very left brain. And then we have someone who is funny, but also intense, hardworking, and expert, out of the world. Like to know more about that. You would hope to be described as genuine, trust, approachable, fun-loving, funny, passionate and thorough. Love your answers. Love your answers. They're great. Keep them coming. And the reason I mention this to you, if people were to read your post via any of the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, message coming through. The human connector. Ooh, I like that. That's nice. All right. Great answers. Well, I love this. Thank you for this. And we'll have more opportunities where I'm going to encourage you to also please use this feature, the Q&A, to answer questions as well. Passionate was also on that list. Love that. Now, the reason I asked you that question is for you to ensure that as you now reread your post and put your information out there, what are you including that would make that come to life? And I love the fantabulous. I'm learning a new word today, fantabulous. I like that. So for instance, today, when we wrap this up, my hope is that you will say, Deborah is so passionate about what she teaches. Or I can tell Deborah is very believable because she gave countless examples that would complement her credibility. So the takeaways that I want to ensure that people receive from how I present is that I love what I do. I believe in what I'm doing. I can attest to the facts of what I do, and I can give examples of why and how these things work. All right, so that's a little bit about what I hope you feel about me. Therefore, if you were to go to my Twitter feed, and I'm going to suggest you do, as you go to any of my specifics, such as LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, you should find a very consistent message. I'm one person. This is me. In every social media platform, there's going to be that total congruence. Now, with the next visual up on your screen, how do you self-market? You need to be good at self-marketing. So social media is critical to every aspect of your overall brand. Brand and reputation, they are the same thing. They are totally the same thing. And I love the fempreneur. Ooh. And again, I'm learning even more new words. Thank you. Those are exciting descriptions. So I appreciate all of those. So again, in the chat, feel free to always, or in the Q&A, I should say, come up with thoughts you want to share with me, to use the Q&A for all of your questions as well as your comments. And congrats, Lauren. I congratulate you on creating that word. Maybe you should register it, trademark it. It's awesome. So how do you communicate as you're self-marketing? Because we're all self-marketing. We are all in sales in one aspect or another. We are selling ourselves, not just our services, not just all of our fabulous abilities and expertise, but there's also that likability quotient as well, and the feeling that I know you. And with your platforms, people should feel they are getting to know you. So it's not just something that you do through a photo, through a pic. And we do love all of the different visuals. It's become a very visual world as part of social media. But there also needs to be an overarching message, one that really demonstrates the best of and showcases who you really are. So I want to highlight this. Look at today as the big picture. Today's the big picture because social media is only going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And how well you manage it as part of your brand and your reputation will be a little bit of how you experience some additional success. So for instance, if you were being interviewed by a company, one of the first things that is recommended, in addition to, of course, going to their website to check them out, but if you really want to know the heartbeat of the organization, you go to their social media platforms, because the social media environment, they're promoting different things. They're talking about new, exciting things. So would you want to do that before any interview so that you can show that you are current, you are relevant? Absolutely do that as part of an interview process. And there might be some people today listening to this webinar where you're in the job searching mode. What a perfect time then for you to really grab hold of what you personally are showcasing in your social media world. But by all means, you need to check out the social media environments of anyone with whom you are going to be interacting. So to highlight this, you should never be surprised by what people say about you behind your back if in fact you are well managing your reputation. So if you're well managing what you put out there, it will surprise you what people are saying about you because you have complete control over that. Brand and reputation are one and the same thing. And companies spend a lot of money developing and marketing their brand. And that's how we often choose to do business with them. That's how they grab our attention. So how are you grabbing the attention of others? I have 4 points that I'm going to be highlighting with you. And so let's get started with point number 1. And this is the first step you're going to want to take. And the first step in developing a pitch perfect social media presence is to understand its power and how it just goes on for perpetuity. And once you put it out there, it's out there. You post it, you own it. I actually started on Twitter in 2008. So no, I wasn't one of the first, but I was there pretty much close to the beginning. And why did I choose Twitter? I was already on LinkedIn, Facebook. It's one of those things that I have felt that I haven't had the type of connectivity that I would have liked in some ways, because I have a business page, but I also have my personal page. And I discovered my business clients were going to my personal page more than my business page, even though I promoted the business page. So now the personal page is almost a complete mirror of the business page, because Facebook really, you have to be careful with it as far as the personal side. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But the tweeting world, and I love the tweeting world, but I decided that I needed to put my brand out there in a rapid fire type of environment where new things were being talked about and promoted and shared all of the time. That's the Twitter world. And so I post roughly 40 some tweets a day. But I do that with an objective in mind. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is to highlight, I know why I'm doing this. I understand the methodology of what I'm trying to do. And so with the Twitter world, I want people to learn as much about me as quickly and briefly as possible. So my tweets are brief, they're to the point, and you could read them and you'll discover, I think I know Deborah. I think I really know her because of what I'm reading. And by the way, everything you read of mine anywhere, including my articles on LinkedIn, I do not use ghostwriters. A lot of business people are using ghostwriters, and I don't mean to disparage them, because there is a need for them, for people who don't care to write or maybe don't feel they're good at writing. But I want it to be my authentic voice. So the tweeting world, I learned very quickly not to take the bait. In every social media platform, including Facebook and others, there are people who will try to bait you and to get you engaged perhaps in a conversation that might do some damage to your brand, your reputation. So you do want to be very careful about that. Let's talk about the ABCs of how you self-promote. Because the ABCs of self-promotion, we want to get people interested in us. So how do you do that on LinkedIn? Because yes, you can mix and mingle. You can network with the best on LinkedIn. And that's going to help you in your job search. It's going to help you with your visibility in your industry. Do you participate in certain hospitality groups? And there are several of them, many of them, in which you could be very active. In addition to posting things yourself, you could participate with others as part of different groups as well to increase your visibility. When someone asks you a question, even if they are trying to sell to you on LinkedIn, do you respond? And I was sharing this with Anthony earlier. I get tired of doing all of the responses. I really do, because I have people trying to sell me some health insurance every single day, often multiple times a day. And I'm fine with the insurance policies I have. I don't need anything right now. I'm not looking. But I'm known for teaching soft skills, which includes respect and courtesy and thoughtfulness. So I do answer people. and I will answer them with a very quick and firm statement. Thanks, not interested in this at this moment, but I appreciate you checking on me. I'll let you know if it changes. Or thank you for checking in with me. Have a great day. This is not something I'll follow up on at this point, but I let people know where I am with whatever it is they're trying to sell to me, because that's part of my brand reputation, that I don't treat people rudely, even though it is a bit of a task to always answer everyone. So what are some of your standout qualities as you self-promote? If I were to go onto your LinkedIn site right now, how would I feel that I know a little bit more about you? Because it's going to tell me something about you, as well as Instagram, which we know is very, very visual and often very funny. And I'm not going to do the TikTok thing with you today, but that is something that's still very much a consideration, who's going to be a part of that, etc. So you need to know your community. What is your community? And how can you become more engaged in your community and get people engaged with you? You just can't be static. You have to be an active participant. Life's too short to be a spectator. So how are you self-promoting? All right, now here we go. And these are things that you need to take seriously. Still part of step one, understanding the bigger picture. And I say this repeatedly: show me what you post. Show me what you find funny. Show me what you like. Show me what you then share. Show me what you advocate. And then guess what happens next? We all become Judge Judy. We do. We all judge. People don't like to hear that, but it is a fact of life. People are very judgmental. We form opinions very, very quickly. So here's another item to put into the Q&A, please. Not the chat. That's not working for some reason, so let's just use the Q&A. Please answer this question. What have you posted recently on any format that you are proud of? Go ahead and in the Q&A, answer that question. What have you posted recently that you would say, I am so proud of that. I'm so proud of that tweet. I'm so proud of that item that I put on Facebook. I'm so proud of the fact that I shared this because this is so important for society or humanity today. What are you proud of? So let's get this going in the Q&A. Ooh, I like this. From Jody, the top 10 lady bosses in Las Vegas. That's an excellent article. I love to read those items, especially when you are sharing positive things that are going on in your industry and in your community. And your achievements, things that you have accomplished during COVID, good. And yes, people do need to keep learning and learning, pushing yourself. This is a perfect opportunity because we have time to do some things that perhaps we didn't have time to do before. Also, posting things about you're open for work and you're doing a picture tag on LinkedIn, good. And the 5149 marketing rule, I love that. So true on LinkedIn. So do I have you thinking about this now? And I'd like for you to keep thinking about this. What have you posted recently? If you can't come up with something, that means you've got some work to do. Oh, a foodie. Thank you, Mitchell. Posting the issues and places, events in Vegas, especially within your hotel group. Excellent. Excellent. I love posting and reposting things I know from my Las Vegas friends. And I have a number of them who follow me on all the mediums that I use, all the social media platforms. And I love reposting all the positive things. I would caution you about posting things that might be a bit negative might be divisive, because I'd rather hear that Las Vegas, for instance, the recent anniversary of Las Vegas Strong, I reposted a number of those items and did a lot of likes on those as well, because that's something to be remembered, to be honored, and to come back to the fact that Las Vegas is strong. So I like the hashtag Las Vegas Strong. That's what you are right now too. So how are you demonstrating? We might be going through a difficult time. We are all in the world going through this. So how can we stay very positive and upfront about all of this? How can we support these? And yes, Lauren mentions the motivational quotes. I do loads of those. I do loads of those. Oh, you adopted a puppy. A puppy. Oh, and everyone, and hello, Elizabeth. Everyone loves those puppy moments. Those are great. And by the way, I saw that post of yours. In fact, I liked it. So we all admire people who rescue. That's part of my family's philosophy as well. And the question came in about politics. Is it a no-no? Oh, okay. Well, it always has been. It always has been. However, people want to know a little bit more about a person's character without it being mean-spirited or ugly or saying hateful things. And I will say that I think politics can be presented from, I respect people who are Republicans and people who are Democrats. I respect the political process, and I'd like to see it supported. Where I took a stand not that many months ago, I posted quite a bit on Facebook on Black Lives Matter. Absolutely, I did. I felt that I had to be someone who shared their voice on this issue that is so important. So I think it's how you present it without it being ugly or mean-spirited or hateful toward anyone else. But I do believe that in today's environment, people now want to know, do you have a voice? Do you claim your voice? Will you stand up for what you believe in? And can you do that with compassion, with empathy, and with kindness? And that's where I stand on some of the more delicate, divisive topics. I believe it can be done well. It does not have to be done in an ugly, hateful way. Oh, and Michelle, you volunteer at Project 150. Love that. Another good one as well. Thank you for all of your input. I appreciate all of that. That's great. So let's now go to step 2. All right, you got your pen handy because we're going to have a few things to additionally write down. All right, so let's go to step 2. Step 1, understand the power of social media. Understand it and own it. Own what you put out there. It's you, it's your reputation, your brand. There's no way to take it back. Step 2 is to plan what you're going to put out there. So what's going to be your strategy? Why are you on social media? And if you're on social media, you need a strategy. Here's what I'm going to post. Here are my goals. This is what I hope to get out of it. This is what I want to accomplish. I want to have these followers. I want this visibility. What are my goals for being involved in social media? Do I want to come across as being an expert or very learned in my field? Would I want people to say about me that, wow, you really know a lot about your industry? So how do you come up with your plan? And Lauren just made an excellent point. She has a social media calendar set up. Well, you get a gold star by your name today, Lauren, because that is an excellent thing to do. You have your strategy, you have your goals, you have your plans, and they're all put into a calendar. That way, you're also incredibly organized, right? Isn't that a good feeling to be organized? So now that you have your plans in place, here are some very key things so that people will feel They know you. So the reason I asked you, what have you posted lately that would make you very proud to say, look at this, read this. This is who I am. This is how I think. This is what I feel. This is what matters to me. So what is your message? What would you say that people could use to describe your message? You will find in all of my posts in every platform, I repopulate. So a lot of my items, they recirculate and come back around again a month or two later. But you will find at the very core, there is going to be my message of everything should begin with kindness. I talk about kindness and humanity a great deal. And then I toss in tips on whether it's business etiquette or presentation skills or how to have gravitas or how to grow your backbone and be more assertive. I toss in tips all the time, but you will always find that at the root of everything, I use two things, kindness and humor. Now, I think I'm incredibly funny. And sometimes I have to go back and reword things because maybe I thought it was funny, but it didn't come across as funny. People weren't sure whether they should laugh or not. But I like to lighten the moment. The human to human connection. Hashtag H, the number 2, H. H2H. Human to human. How do you form a connection with what you are posting? So when someone even reads your resume, does it pop off that page? And if they then read one of your tweets or a post on LinkedIn, they think, this is really who this person is. So what is your message? So write that down. If you do not have a well-defined message right now, you need one. My message is, I teach soft skills to help make people strong because life is too short to not know what to do. That's my message. That is my message. What is a takeaway? So as I read anything you're posting, what's going to be a top takeaway that people take away from reading your words? Because they assume those are your words. What are your talking points? Do you have a well-defined, very concise, succinct, easy to understand way of communicating? So whether they're reading something that you've posted on LinkedIn, maybe an article that you wrote, or whether they are reading something that you have put on Facebook, does it make sense? Or do they go, I'm not sure I understand this. So what are your talking points? What do you really want to say to people? How do you want people to feel about you? What do you question? So if you question something, for instance, if I question a certain post, I'm not going to share it. If I think, I don't know that that is something that people will find funny. And there are certain things that I have found funny, for instance, on Facebook that I did not share. I did not like because I thought, I don't know, that might not be good for my brand because people might think that was a little mean-spirited because right now there are plenty of those items going around, aren't there? So there are certain things I do question and I don't include myself in that conversation. I don't share that post. I don't like that post. And do you know what resonates with people? You'll find out because you're going to get the likes. You're going to get the reshares. You're going to get people making a comment. I don't share a lot of personal things. So I don't put things up there a great deal about my family. It's very rare. But I did share yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, but within the past 48 hours, I did share that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I did share my own journey with that. So I put up the news. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Just saw my oncologist. All is good. And I'm a 6-year survivor. And so it's all about supporting breast cancer awareness because a lot of women find out too late that they have the dreaded breast cancer disease. And unfortunately, a lot of women could have found out earlier if they had been more diligent with their mammograms. So I decided after my own situation 6 years ago that I needed to be a strong, outspoken advocate to promote that. So I do put that in all of my social media platforms, and I will post the importance of mammograms probably maybe a dozen times this month of October, because you never know the eyeballs that are reading that. And I want to reach as many people as possible because this is such a critical issue for women. So what's resonating? Will people feel they know you? And then I had all kinds of people commenting on the different platforms, and it surprised me. And frankly, I had a lot of people commenting, I didn't even know they were reading my post. I didn't know, but they read that one. And so if they don't read anything else, I'm glad they read that one. Thank you, Lauren, for your kind comment. All right. So now we've had step 1, step 2. Now let's go to step 3. And this can be one that's a bit challenging. And this is something you really want to protect yourself. And this requires a definite strategy, a very big strategy, and sometimes an uncomfortable no, I'm not going to follow someone. No, I'm not going to say yes to your friend request. So here are my thoughts on this delicate topic. And I'd like your thoughts as well. Because sometimes when you work with people, they want to be your friends on Facebook. And I was struggling with this. As I mentioned to you, I have both business and personal page. And my business clients kept finding me on my personal page. So I decided I'm going to have to monitor this very closely, very carefully, because I don't want to turn people away and say no to them. I'll just choose what I'm going to post on Facebook, which is what I've been doing for the past several years now. It's not personal, it's almost all business. So I have up for you now on the screen the basic, as I say, no, never, nada. No, nothing. Nothing profane. So even if you drop the F-bombs in your personal life, am I going to recommend that you do that in writing, on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram? You may think, well, I would never do it on LinkedIn. Well, of course you wouldn't do it on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has that perception of being, that's the business page. That's where employers go. That's where people check you out to see if they want to hire you or promote you maybe to someone else who might want to hire you. So people have a different attitude often about LinkedIn. I don't suggest you have a different attitude. Have the same attitude. If I wouldn't post it on LinkedIn, I'm not going to post it elsewhere. Because if you use certain items that you think that's acceptable language, you don't know how someone else is feeling about that. And absolutely, they're going to check you out, just as Lauren said, they're going to check you out on every platform, because you often have the icons where people can go to your Twitter page or your Facebook page. That's also part of your LinkedIn. My social media icons are everywhere in all of them. You can go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And do not take any risk whatsoever. Also, yes, I have listed anything that comes across as a threat. Yes, posts are taken down. People are completely banned from certain social media platforms because of things they've said. Anything that comes across as slightly abusive, that tone, that attitude that sounds very threatening, you'll be sorry you said that. That's actually a threat. If someone posts that, responding to something you have posted, you'll be sorry you said that. Or if you use that phrase, that's actually a threat. Do not do that. Nothing racist, sexist, discriminatory, I'm shocked that I even have to include this today, but I read so many different posts, and I have had people beg me to stay on Twitter because of the positivity of my message, because there is so much that is just downright ugly, hateful, and racist, and sexist, and discriminatory. It's not good. Not good at all, ever. So be careful. You don't even like anything. You might not say it, but the very fact that you might respond to it or like it because maybe you thought what they said was funny, that is a check mark by your name that, no, not sure about this person. Bad grammar. Also be careful with any of what's referred to as those selfies. And I realize in today's very salacious environment, and we see it every day, as soon as you pop on your computer, whatever your screen is, whether it's Yahoo or Google, whatever, and they have the news feeds, often they're saying, look at this person who's a certain age and how awesome they look in this bikini. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why? But it's very, very salaciously intended to get our attention. So you have to be careful with those types of selfies. Anything that could come across as you don't have good judgment. Why would you put that out there? All right, I won't take away your bathroom selfies. So yes, there's a purpose for that, right, Jody? There's going to be something that there's a reason why you are doing it. So no, I will not take those away from you. And as I mentioned, being a whiner, being someone who's really negative, yes, there are people who all they want to do is whine. Right now, take a moment. Okay, who in your life is the most negative person? Now, don't answer that in the questionnaire. We don't need you putting their name out there for the public. So be very careful with the whining. And also, who's the biggest whiner in your life? I don't care how great the weather is, how fabulous life is, how wonderful things are. They're going to whine about it. So, did a name just pop into your head? Okay. Oh, yes. We all have those people in our lives, don't we? I have to say, I'm very honored by this. I'm going to share it with you because this is something personal. I do believe in the power of being happy, even when it's one of your darkest days. I do believe in the power of being positive and sharing that positivity. I absolutely believe in the power. I have my whole life. And I've always approached everything with a can-do attitude, but I'm definitely very left brain, very pragmatic, very much a realist. But I approach it more from the attitude of, don't count me out. Knock down, yes, but I'm going to get back up. The story I'm going to share with you is someone who followed my post early on Twitter when I first started. And unbeknownst to me, and this is someone I didn't know where she lived, didn't know anything about her, but she was thanking me for the post. And as time went on, she then shared with me, she said, Deborah, I want to tell you something. She said, all of your positive posts about being hopeful and not giving up and staying strong. She said, your posts stopped me from committing suicide. And I was so taken aback. I was really surprised by that because I believe in what I post, but I never thought of them as that powerful. And she shared with me some of the posts and how they resonated with her. We continued to communicate on Twitter. And then she came across the pond because she lives in England. She came across the pond 3 years ago to meet me in Las Vegas. We met for the first time. I was doing some programs at the Wynn, and she came to meet me. And we had a marvelous several days together. My husband happened to be with me. So while I was working, he took her all around and showed her the sights. And it was quite a memory. We're still in touch. And she's now actually in the medical profession helping other people. I mean, what a story. I mean, I wouldn't believe it if I haven't lived it, but I've had subsequent people contacting me telling me how it's the first thing they look at, my Twitter feed, for something to help jumpstart them out of their negativity each day. Never undersell the power of who you are with your positivity and with your brand. You never know who you could be helping. Thank you, Elizabeth. I was delighted to share that. It means the world to me. And then on the negative side, there are people who actually think it's okay to post things about a coworker, about an employer, either past or present. Oh my gosh, why would you do that? Thinking that, well, they'll never find out. And as I say, the last statement on this slide, there are no secrets. People always repeat things they've heard, things they know. They always repeat those items. They find a way to share it with someone else. So as I say with the last bullet point, tag, you're it. For you to protect yourself, you need to hashtag yourself to find out who else is hashtagging you. You need to find out how people are tagging you, how they're including you in various pictures. You really have to do your own due diligence to know what people are posting, because every company has its own social media enforcement where they go through the process of researching you very thoroughly before they hire you. Something as simple as they check out who you follow. Who's one of your friends on Facebook? Then they check out that friend to see what they're all about. And then the friend of that friend. Oh yes, they want to find out, who are they hiring? Is this someone who's a good fit for our environment, for our culture? Companies have to be very self-protective. This is why you have to do the job of protecting yourself, your brand, your image. And I realize this sounds like doom and gloom. It really isn't. It's really quite easy. You just do your regular checkups. You just type in, Google your name. You hashtag various things. So it comes up to see, where are you? And if you're somewhere where someone's taking pictures, you just make sure you let people know, do not include me, do not tag me. You need to be assertive and let people know, do not include me in that photo. I do not wish to have that photo posted from this party or that party, because it goes back to, what did I say? Everyone is a Judge Judy. What you share, what you post, and who tags you is part of your brand. All right, here we are, final step. Step number 4. So it's understand, plan, protect, and now preserve. This is all about preserving your image, your brand for posterity. So I call this a new mindset. You need to have a new mindset. That, I never really thought about maybe how dire some of these things are that Deborah is talking about, but it's out there. When I Googled myself recently, this presentation that I gave at Harvard, Harvard's one of my clients, it popped up. And the first thing I thought of, oh, my hair was much shorter there. I wonder if I should go back to short hair. I mean, there it was. There I was. I had no idea that that picture was out there. I was a cover story of the Boston Globe and all of the etiquette because of the Harvard, one of the first Harvard programs that I did. And all kinds of pictures were out about that. That's out there. And some of that goes back 10, 12 years when social media was just beginning to get its legs. But you can find these items. So what are people researching about you? So how is your mindset of preserving going forward? I have a few critical decisions for you to build on. Because also consider the fact that people want to know how you are in the virtual world as well. Because maybe you might be hired for a job that would include some work from home. So how do you manage the social environment in the virtual world? as part of your hospitality expertise. And I know that might sound a complete contradiction because we think of hospitality as more we are together, human to human, in the same room at the same moment. But now, because the virtual world is here to stay, a lot of employers want to know, how well can you manage that environment? How good are you in that particular situation? So, things to think about for step number 4 in regard to preserving your social media image. Things to think about, things to build on. Develop and continue to develop your brand voice. And this is where it has to be authentic. This is why I decided not to use the ghostwriter, because I have a special way of how I communicate. It's me. It's strictly me. And no one can sound quite like me. And I've learned that I really do enjoy writing. So it is totally my voice in everything I put out there. It is the authentic version of Deborah. It's the only version you're ever going to get. So when people read anything you post, and that includes when you hand off your resume, and I realize that's not going to be posted on social media, but when they read your resume, does it pop up as being very authentically you? They can hear you talking. They can hear your voice. When things really read well, they can actually hear you in their heads. It doesn't sound stale or boring or mundane. There's a bit of excitement to you coming off of that paper. Same thing for your social media presence. All right, so how authentic are you? Do you sometimes have to go back and rephrase something? And thank you, Lauren. I'm glad you're in agreement with me on the authenticity. And I have a great question here too. What's the best way to use social media platforms as a gateway drug to convert customers and increase in-person visits? Obviously, from a foodie perspective, people love to see pictures of the food. I would say even include some of the staff and have a little welcome from one of the staff. And it could be one of the favorite servers who people seem to really love. Something about, we not only serve the best food, you're going to enjoy every experience with this phenomenal server. And you can mention the person's name, and there could be the photo like, come see me. Ask for me when you come to the restaurant. Make it personal. Make me feel as though I'm getting to know the people who work at your restaurant. And it could be anyone from the restaurant manager, the general manager, the person who works behind the bar, even though a lot of places now don't have the bar set up. I need to know you. More than the food, I want to feel that connection. Because there are places, my husband and I, not in recent months, we would go to a specific restaurant. I will not mention the name. Don't really care for their food at all. No, but we love the bartenders. So we would go at happy hour and just sit there and visit and maybe have an appetizer, because we weren't wild about, again, their dinner entrees, but we love the bartenders so much. That's why we went to that restaurant. And we would go usually once a month. And I do like the comment that was just made about you've had people copy things from your profile to claim it. That's another important thing to remember, because you need to know if someone is taking anything that is yours. And I think if you are communicating authentically you, it's going to be hard for people to come across as really you or themselves if they're using your words. I wouldn't worry about the behavior of others. And I know you may not like this answer. Never worry about the behavior of others. You cannot control it. All you can do is control your response to the behavior of others. So if someone is using your info, what you need to do is mix it up more often, because they'll get tired of changing. They're going to get tired of always trying to come up with what you're doing now that's new and different and fresh, because as long as you keep mixing it up a little bit, they're going to realize you've caught on to them and they need to stop it. And of course, you could actually confront them one-on-one. I do suggest, as we see on the slide also, without exception, you want to communicate only truthfully and no embellishments. So truthfully, no embellishments. And also your social media marketing from the standpoint of your career, that is critical, because when people check out different things about you, this is going to give them some insight as to your growth within that company, opportunities within that company as well. And so you want to think of it as how I preserve my reputation going forward. This is going to be how I manage my exposure. So how are you going to manage all of your exposure? And the more you do this, the more you're going to find it works for you. And you'll get used to doing this. And I'm glad to hear you did confront them kindly. And isn't it sad that someone feels not so great about themselves, so much so that they have to use the words of others to promote themselves? That's sad. I don't excuse it, but that's a sad commentary. So I think it is good that you did confront them. They know that you know. That should be enough to stop them. But again, you may want to just mix things up a little bit every now and then so that it doesn't come across as always the same. And that way you have some new, fresh things always occurring. Well, great. Well, here we are at the end. And I'm happy to take more and more and more of your questions. I'm glad to have any questions that you would like to ask me. I try to always leave a few minutes at the end for those additional questions. And certainly what I have up for you right now is how to get social with me. So would love it if you would like to also have any communication with me in the future. And certainly you can find out about all of my offerings and webinars, etc., on my website. And those are the social media platforms where you can find me as well. And you are very welcome. You are very welcome. I'm glad that I could help you with that. So any final questions? I'm going to go ahead and turn the host back over to Anthony. So I just did that. And so Anthony, you are back in control.
Well, thank you, Deborah. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful presentation. And I know a lot of our audience here today got some really, really great takeaways they can apply to their social media. Thank you, Deborah.
My pleasure.
Other than that, yeah. And for anyone who have missed a few minutes to this recording, this is all available to you guys right now on Facebook Live, and we'll also get it uploaded on YouTube within the coming days. Again, thank you for Deborah, as well as our attendees for attending this morning's webinar. And we'll look forward to seeing you at any of our upcoming fall webinar speaker series within the next few weeks. So stay connected with us on Facebook, Twitter, and all Instagram and LinkedIn, all our social media accounts at TISO, the International School of Hospitality. All right. Looks like we got some, maybe we've got some last minute questions. Oh, all comments. Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like we have lots of thank yous from people, so I appreciate that. Thank you again to all of you. And a question on what are my feelings on content helpers, things like purchasing hashtags. I think people are expecting those, Jody. I think they are just fine, but I think there is a way that you could add anything to it to even personalize it, as you mentioned that. So people do expect that. Those are just fine. You're very welcome, Lauren. Thank you.
I guess that covers about it. Thank you guys for all attending. Have a wonderful day.